Welcome to episode 157 of the Wilderness Podcast. I am your host, Dilz, and joined with me today is Magpie.
What's good, everybody? How's it going?
Is it Magpie or Magpies with an S?
It's Magpies with an S, but I just never wanted to correct you.
Okay.
So it's all good.
It's so normal to me now. I don't know if I could ever go back, but I'll see what I can do. Okay. This episode, we are... if you're a first-time listener on this episode, what we are currently doing is going back and doing a recap of all the news from 2020, month by month. The show took a bit of a hiatus, but we are back, and we don't want to ignore all the good stuff that happened in 2020.
Probably should mention that we're covering OSRS news, not like real-world news. That would be way more stressful.
Oh, that's so true. Yeah, we just RuneScape news.
Yeah.
Just OSRS news, just the stuff that matters. All right. But we are going to be talking about August and September on this episode. So lots of little things happened in those 2 months. It's been a slow year for Jagex, it seems like. But I guess that's fitting. Seeing what is going on around the world. Maybe go listen to an actual news podcast if you want to hear. If you're maybe missing out on all the good COVID stuff, all the good COVID content, but we'll get into OSRS news in a moment. But Magpie, how have things been on your end?
Pretty good. Christmas was nice. Got a small dinner with friends, and hopefully New Year's is going to be fun as well. But obviously going to be very socially distant. Other than that, in game. I didn't mention this last week, but I've been trying to use this break to finish up my diaries, my elite diaries. I definitely won't finish all of them, but I have this grand master plan where, the time that I spend in game while I'm on break, I'm obviously going to be doing bingo stuff, which is on for another few days, but then also in my downtime, while I'm making breakfast or something, I will be AFK training some elites. And so I have 250k experience away from, I am 250k experience away from 86 rune crafting, which is all I need to get the last rune crafting requirement, which is a +5 boost to 91 for the Karamja elites.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so I also have technically all the levels for Kandarin, all the levels for the Wilderness, and I'm 30k agility experience away from getting the Ardoin agility requirement, which would give me all the levels for that too.
So what do you need for Ardoin, whatever you want to call it?
So Ardoin, you need 85 agility so you can summer pride boost to get the agility, the rooftop course, which you need for the diary.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then I'm also 80 mining. I want to get one more level just so I can survive with a +4 boost instead of a +5 boost. Because I need 85 mining to get a runite ore in the Wilderness to do that rune scimitar from scratch step. That is a really frustrating step. I tried doing it earlier this break, and it was I would stew boost from Edgeville with preserve on for 90 seconds. By the time I'd get to the Wilderness resource area where I have to craft the rune scimitar, it would be 60 seconds left. Or 45 or something, and then you have to kill the runite golem so that you can mine the runite ore, and that would take another I would bring dragon claws and stuff and try to claw spec him down, and even then it would it wouldn't give me that much time with the runite ore to actually mine it before the boost expired. So I tried twice on an 85 boost and it just didn't work. So I'm going to get one more mining level, and then my plan is obviously to finish those diaries first. And with those diaries, I'm going to get a 50k experience lamp, which will give me 150k rune crafting experience. Each one will give me 50k, so I'll just put 3 of them into rune crafting. And so I only need to do 3 hours of rune crafting on my downtime to get that extra 100k, and that will give me 4 diaries done. And then the only one I'll be missing is Mauritania, which I need 91 fishing for, and blah, blah, blah. But that is my master plan to knock out 4 diaries with just 30k agility experience or something, and 100k rune crafting experience, and then I just have to get some barbarian assault levels for the Kandarin elites as well, because you need to get level 5 in all rolls.
Right, that's the one that's holding me back. Okay, so that's... Damn, you've got it all mapped out.
Yeah, I'm like, and you know that It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia meme with like all the conspiracy theory strands. That's how like got my diaries connected.
That's funny. It's honestly, I would think that's probably the best way of doing it because then at least you got one goal that moves you to the next one. It's like they kind of propel each other.
Yeah,
and diaries they're great to do if someone hasn't done them yet. Do them when you can. But on the counter side, I'd have to say it's kind of like might be my least favorite content in the game is doing diaries, personally.
Yeah, I mean, the actual skill and grind for them is kind of annoying, but once you get the skills, it's pretty much like you breeze through them if you just like grab everything in one inventory. The obvious exception is Wilderness. The Wilderness diaries are by far the worst. Those are just horrible to do because you can't really fit everything into one inventory. You have to kill like 6 different bosses for the hard and elites combined. You're obviously not going to be able to do that all in one trip, and it's just going to be annoying. You're going to run into PKers. It's not a fun time.
No.
Yeah, aside from that, I haven't been doing too much. Bingo-wise, I have been, like, again, varying up my content. So I've been doing some demonic gorillas lately. I've been doing some barrows. I've been doing a lot of, like, mid-level content, which, when you're at the end game, is, like, really fun because you just breeze through everything.
Yeah.
And just earlier this morning, I was doing, like, a free-for-all Corporal Beast Mass in, like, a free-for-all CC, and I saw somebody get an Elijah Sigil, so...
Oh, that's so sick.
Yeah, congrats to that guy, but...
Living the dream. That's what everyone hopes for, right?
Yeah, exactly. You just get that lucky Elijah Sigil, or you go to like a Nightmare Mass and you get the Harmonized Orb drop. That would be pretty sick.
It's the dream.
But that's pretty much it for me. It's been a low-key week. I like haven't been as like active when it comes to my own grinds. Just like I've been doing some real life work, and then when I am on, I'm just like focusing on Benko for the most part. So not really much else to report.
That sounds fun. That's not too. It's a great way to end the year, I suppose. Nice and relaxing, I guess.
For sure.
Pretty sweet. Pretty sweet. Yeah, for me, I've just been doing RuneScape stuff. This bingo event kind of re-energized my passion for my main. Maybe not to that extent, but I was like, if you go back like a week ago, I was playing my Iron Man, just doing a bunch of quests. I was I was at Wintertodd, and I finally got I shouldn't say finally got, but I got the Tomb of Fire, which is like 1 in 1,000 drop rate, I believe.
Mm-hmm. That's a massive drop as well.
Yeah, I got it at like 200 KC, maybe less. So a little lucky there, which is nice. And I decided, once I get the Tomb of Fire, I'm going to end the Wintertodd grind because I'm at like 87 fire making, I think. And that's a decent level. Like, you don't really need, there's not many benefits from having like 95 fire making, except for like, I think there's like a master clue you got to do something for.
Yeah, I think it's like 90 fire making for that one though. So I think you're good.
You get to a level where you're like, you know what, I don't need, and you can say with a lot of skills, like I don't need to level this anymore. Like, yeah. So anyways, I got the Tomb of Fire, jumped out, and I was doing using no guides, doing quests as I saw them, but I found I was like wasting a lot of time going to do a quest and then not even knowing if I'd be able to finish it. Because sometimes when you open up a quest guide, not a quest guide, but the quest guide in game, it'll tell you like you require this mining level. So it says right there, and you're like, okay, perfect. I won't come back until I have that. But then there's some quests that don't have that, and you won't know until you're like halfway through and you need to go get an item. And as an Iron Man, it requires, whatever level of skill you need for it.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, so and I was like, you know what? I don't want to waste a whole lot of time. So then I decided to go back on what I had said with like no guides or anything, and I went with the efficient Iron Man questing guide that's on the wiki. And this is basically like, it'll tell you like how could you be the most efficient when it comes to completing all the quests. And it'll be like, pick up this quest, and then as you're walking past this quest, start that quest, but continue doing the first quest. Like you kind of do multiple quests at the same time. At like some parts, but I just decided to go through each quest just so that like I have the level, like one quest will give me the levels for the next quest that will give me the levels for the next quest. And the next thing you know, I did no skilling and my account's at a good spot.
Yeah, quests are really, really underrated. Like, generally, the best way to skill early game is to not skill at all. It's just to, do the quests and, propel your account as far as you can with just the XP rewards. Because when you think about it, like, the XP rewards drop off in terms of how valuable they are the higher level you are. Because when you're at, 98, let's say you're at 98 cooking, right? And you get, 20k cooking experience from a quest reward or something, it's it's not even gonna be a blip on the radar in terms of your experience to your next level. But 20k early on, considering A, that levels need way less experience, and B, that your experience per hour for actual training methods is going to be way lower. So that's going to be 10, 15, maybe even 20 levels, depending on where your account is. And that jump is going to be massive. If you could skip the first 20 levels of agility, huge, huge. I wish they would release a quest to skip the early levels of Hunter, because that is I still remember I did that grind 2.5 years ago, and that grind was still the absolute worst that I could imagine.
Yeah, there is the museum in Varrock. You can talk to a guy at the bottom, you answer some questions, and you get level 9 Slayer and level 9 Hunter. But even 9 Hunter isn't enough.
You have to go to get the birds, I think, yeah.
Yeah, it was 27 Hunter was when things got better. But that grind beforehand... So I'm going back years ago when I was doing the grind. I mentioned before, but I wanted to get 85 Hunter to catch Dragon Implings. And I was a low level. I was level 50 or level 60. I just thought it'd be cool to kind of walk around with a net. And if I saw an imp, catch it and get some decent rewards from it as I'm just going along questing and doing other things. So that was the goal I had. And I started at level 1 Hunter. And I went from 1 to 27. And it took me at least it felt like it took me 4 hours. It took me a long time, hours. And then I went from 27 to level 50 in half the time. Because you just hit that part where it's the experience is coming in fast, and also the levels still don't take that much experience to get to the next level.
Definitely,
That first 30 levels is brutal, though. Because you sit there, you have your bird traps up, you wait 15, 20, 30 seconds for a bird to notice your trap, flies down, and just breaks your trap, and then you have to set it up again. So it takes a minute just to get 7 experience.
Yeah, and at that point, you only have 1 trap, right? So trap there would be in the singular, not the plural, until you get 20 or so Hunter. So yeah, no, that grind is easily the worst grind in the early game that I could ever imagine. It is a really, really bad grind, so...
Yeah, it is rough. So yeah, I agree. Let's get some hunting quests out. But anyways, so then we started this bingo thing where if you listen to I think it's the last episode, maybe the episode before, but basically Heartless, Weiss, a bunch of people in the CC, they got together and made this cool event, and people are broken off into teams. You get different tasks to complete, get a unique from this boss, get a unique from this boss, all these different pretty hard challenges. So I decided I would partake in it on my main, and I started just doing random content, bouncing between different tasks, and it kind of I don't know, it's been fun. It's made me, well, that amongst another thing I'm going to mention, but it made me pause my Iron Man and kind of you know what, I kind of want to smash out some new goals on my main, because before I was just kind of AFK fishing to get to 99 fishing at some point, or I was doing some farming, but they're always just kind of doing these things to get to 99 because why not? 99 is the max level. But I've kind of gotten some new goals that are much less,
more engaging.
Yeah, more engaging. That's a good way to say it. So after me and Heartless recorded last episode where we talked about the Darkmire and the Hallowed Sepulchre, I kind of realized a lot of people talk about how great the Hallowed Sepulchre is, and it being agility content. If you don't know, I hate agility. It's I hate that skill the most. Well, I used to. Yeah. And then I tried the Hallowed Sepulchre, and it was so tough at first. It still is tough, but it was really satisfying watching myself improve when it came to the obstacles. So if you don't know what the Hallowed Sepulchre is, it's this massive agility, I'm going to say agility course. And that was released with Darkmire, but it's like not your typical agility course. It's not like the rooftops. It's closer to the Brimhaven, where there's like obstacles and things, and you're on like a timer. But the difference is, like, you don't just click on an obstacle piece and then your guy climbs to the obstacle piece. You kind of basically have to make the movements yourself. So you'll come to an area where there's arrows shooting and they're going down this line, but you have to run down, like you have to run across the bridge where the arrows are shooting. And so you have to manually click to move out of the way of the arrows. And that's one example. Another one is like there's these pillars that shoot fire and you have to kind of avoid getting hit by the fire. Swords are getting thrown that you have to, a lot of avoiding things from hitting you. And there's like 5 different floors. Each floor gets a bit more tough. You're on a bit of a timer. And you kind of, as you're going through this, I'm going to call it an obstacle course, this maze of whatever, you'll see these like little rooms that kind of branch off from the course. And you can, with the right items, you can get to that area and you can open up a chest that will yield some rewards, and you'll get some these halo tokens. I forget what they're actually called, but they're tokens that are the currency.
Hallowed marks.
Yeah, okay, so hallowed marks. And you'll get like a random, maybe like an adamant plate body, or you'll get like a prayer potion. It depends on what floor you're on, but the higher the floor, the better the reward. So yeah, I've been doing that, and it's been a lot of fun. And I was like kind of like trying to think to myself, like, what is making this content so much fun? I was like enjoying it a lot. I was getting some decent experience. I actually have almost gone 2 agility levels. I've almost gone from 83 to 85, which is like, for me, that's like huge. The fact that I'm like getting hundreds of thousands of experience. And
you're enjoying it too, so like you would obviously give the thumbs up to Hallowed Sepulchre.
Yeah, it's fun. I am enjoying it, and I'll like, as I'm doing the bingo event, sometimes like I was doing Venenatus. This is a wilderness boss. Okay, this story is going to get a little all over the place, but it'll connect. Trust. But so I was doing Venenatus the other day, because one of the tasks for bingo is to get a wilderness ring. Our team hasn't gotten it yet, so I figured, you know what? I'll see if I can do it. So I grabbed some of the recommended gear, which is just like your basic range setup with a cross bow, which is a revenant weapon. There's like 3 revenant weapons that give you increased damage and accuracy when in the wilderness facing against monsters. So I busted that bad boy out, went to Venenatus, and Venenatus is kind of a pain in the ass to solo. If you're in a group, it's not too bad. You can usually do a bunch of kills. But if you're trying to solo it, the recommended way is to kind of glitch the boss out. It's like, I don't know, it's a weird way to kill a boss, but it's also like the only way to solo the boss, it seems like. I don't know. Have you ever done much wildy bossing? And if you do you glitch them out?
Yes. Is it about time? Like, let me check my watch. Is it time for like a weekly rant by me about the state of the wilderness? I think it is. Okay. Wilderness bosses are broken. Let's like address the first issue that you mentioned. I have done Venenatus. Or no, I think that's the only one I haven't really done, but every single wilderness boss that like is in that trifecta of Venenatus, like Vedion, Callisto, the main way to actually do the boss, the recommended way, like you said, is to lure them all and glitch them into not attacking you.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know about you, but that sounds really stupid to have bosses in a game like that Jagex either like doesn't want to patch or can't patch or whatever, but it's because like they're roaming bosses in a massive like open area like the wilderness, and it's kind of like the only time that you see something like that, where every other boss has their own area that you have to enter. Like God War's bosses are confined to their chamber. KBD's confined to his lair. Like Scotizo is in his like little dimension. Sire is in like the Sire area. So you know what I mean? Whereas like the wilderness bosses are actually roaming around in the open world, and by luring them to their like maximum like aggro range, where the maximum distance that they roam, you can just like get them to freeze up like that. And really dumb, really stupid mechanics, really unenjoyable gameplay, and really goes against the spirit of the game. But at the same time, why are they in the game? Because like wilderness bosses never made sense to me. Never. Like I came back after they introduced them, and I was like, okay, so now there are bosses that you like want to get people to the wilderness for, so they can just basically be sitting ducks for PKers. Like, have you died at all at Venenatis? Have you been PK'd yet?
Yes.
Okay. I won't like interrupt your story too much, but that's my entire like point, right? Where it's like you're basically just going there to do a boss, and you're being asked to be literally a sitting duck because you have to stay in that one safe spot to do the boss quote unquote correctly by glitching it out. And next thing you know, a team spawns under you and they freeze you and kill you, tell you to sit and call you racial slurs, and it's just not
fun time for everyone
at all. Exactly, yeah, fun time for the family, the kids, everyone loves it.
I agree, but I think I have like mixed feelings on everything. Because as you were talking, you kind of made a point that I never really realized, and that's the wilderness bosses are like the only bosses that are basically like world bosses where they're just in the world. You don't like a new player could be exploring the wilderness and they'll just stumble across this giant ass creature that will kill them. I think that's as a person who like can remember being a noob in lots of other games and then walking across this like thing that will just kill you. It's kind of cool. It makes you like, what the fuck was that? Like when I was playing Warframe, there was this, I was out in the open world and there was this massive monster that like, I was like, what the hell is that? And I went up to go see it, and I'm going back a little bit, but I can't remember if it killed me or if I just ran away because it looked super strong. But I was kind of like mesmerized by like, what the hell is this? And I'm way too low of a level to tackle this, but like, it'll be cool to come back here one day. So I love the idea of just being able to stumble across it. But then, as you mentioned, the problem is like people are going to exploit the boss. They're going to cheese the boss, and it's kind of hard to blame them because a lot of the bosses are really tough. Like Vedion, another wilderness boss, is really hard. I have no idea how you could kill it solo without bugging him out so that he gets stuck and he can't attack you, but you can still kill him. I don't know how. He's a tough boss, but Callisto is also tough, but like when I do it, I don't bother to safe spot it because I just bring full Verax. I just melee him straight out, and I can usually get 1 or 2 kills before having to leave.
Yeah.
So that one's okay, I think, but yeah, Vedion's one that like you basically want to get it stuck as well because it's kind of a tough boss. You could solo it, but like it's just better to get it stuck. And I'm sure maybe Callisto's the same way, but Callisto's a lot easier. Venenatis throws all these different mechanics at you. But so yeah, you got to get it stuck, which makes you, as you said, a sitting duck for PKers. Now, this is where I have mixed feelings because I would get PK. I would go there, get PK'd, go there again, get PK'd instantly, and I'm losing a bunch of money because with the Revenant bow, the crossbow, you have to use these this ether, which you use it to get the perk that comes with the bow, which is the damage boost against wilderness bosses. But it costs money. So if you die, you're going to be losing like 200k just in those charges. So that's kind of frustrating. So I would die a bunch, and then I'm like, you know what? I need to take a break, and I need to go back to Hollowed Sepulchre. So that's why I would go bounce between the two as kind of like a palate cleanser. But also, there's a few times where 2 PKers who aren't, it's just 1 or 2 PKers. They're not great, but obviously they are just better than me because I don't have any PKing gear to fight back. But when I had to run away and it was like close. Like I was running away from this team. I got all the way to level 2 wilderness because I got teleblocked. I couldn't teleport out. Got to level 2 wilderness, and then I got killed by them because one of them de-speared me. Mm-hmm. And it was like so intense. It was like kind of exciting. I had so much fun trying to get away, and I thought I was going to get away. And then I died and lost some loot. But I was like, that was actually kind of fun. And then the few times I get away, it is fun. But the times it sucks is when you're just sitting there and a team of 7 people show up and one-shot you. And you're like, oh, what am I doing?
Yeah. So, like, I've thought about this a little bit of, like, how to make wilderness bossing and just, like, wilderness activities more fun. Even though I've been advocating just, like, remove all non-PvP activities generally from the wilderness. There's no reason for them to be there. Basically, like, Jagex is doing the thing. I think, like, there's an old episode way back that discusses it about how, like, they're trying to establish a food chain in the wilderness by having, like, helpless skillers and PVMers come in and like necessitate a risk. Like, if you're skilling, you want to train prayer, you want to bring a bunch of bones, or if you know, doing like Venenatus for a bingo event, for example, as you are, you want to bring in like a crossbow with a bunch of revenant ether that is automatically dropped when you're dead, so you can't like protect it, which gives like PKers a financial incentive.
Yep.
But the problem is, it's A, disingenuous, B, it creates like an artificial food chain. There's not really an ecosystem because it's not like there's really any incentive for the PVMers or the skillers, because there's always a way to like cheat the system, right? Like, skillers who want to train prayer will just like bring one inventory of bones and suicide whenever they're done, and then they're risking very, very, very few supplies. I think the problem is, like what you said was fun in the sense that you were like got the thrill from almost escaping, but it's kind of sad how the thrill, that like the maximum reward that you would get in that situation is just not losing anything. There's no actual reward. The reward is not having the costs of being PK.
It's I would say like the reward is being able to do the boss. See, and this is where I get like I hate like how you can bug out the bosses, but then also I'm like, bugging out the bosses allowed me, and this has happened a bunch, where I overstay because I'm like, oh, this is just so easy. I don't even have to pay attention. If I set it all up properly, I can just AFK this boss. I don't have to leave because I ran out of food because I'm not getting hit, and then I just get like a shit ton of loot. But then I overstay and I end up getting killed, and then I'm like, well, that I should have left earlier, because the wilderness bosses do drop a decent amount of like they can be decent money, maybe not like compared to Vorkath or something, but they're still, you know, they can get some good stuff. It's hard. I get why people don't like the non-PvP content being in the wilderness, but I think I think I kind of like that. I think it's like man, it's hard to say, because then we're going to talk about it in this episode, because then you get some things that are like, where's the line where a sandbox game isn't allowed the freedom to like be a true sandbox game, because you get non-PvP activity stuff in the wilderness. Let's say I'm going to the altar, and I've done this. I'll go to the altar, I bring way more bones than I should, but I bring some gear to switch to PvP if somebody attacks me, and then I kind of hope someone attacks me to give me the chance to unscald, fight back, and maybe take them off guard. And it's happened a few times where I've gotten a kill or two, usually not a bunch of loot, but like you're able, like the element of surprise, you're able to kind of they call it anti-PK, but you're just, you know, and so I think having non-PvP stuff in the wilderness allows that sort of stuff. Or even I was seen just people say that. Yeah.
Like, I was going to say, like, anti-PKing would be the coolest thing ever, except it's so unlikely to happen, because when you're doing PVM activities, you're just, like, the way old school works is you've got your PvP gear, which is usually drastically different from your PVM gear. Like, yeah, you're going to have, like, the same amulets or whatever, but in terms of your weapons, like, you're going to be bringing in a G-Maul or Dragon Claws or something for PvP, whereas if you're doing, like, Venenatus or Vedion, the thing you're going to be risking is, like, a crossbow or
Yeah.
the flail, the melee equivalent or whatever it's called. And so there's really very little chance if you, unless the people that are trying to PK you are actually really, really garbage, it's so unlikely that you're going to anti-PK them that you're better off not even trying and just running away. Where it's like if Jagex could balance out weapons, or could have balanced out weapons, it's obviously too late now, but if they balance out the weapons better to where, like, you get a fighting chance, it, like, what if, for example, here's a random thought. What if you're unskulled, you can, like, the damage buff from the wilderness weapons, like crossbow, works against people who are skulled? Wouldn't that be, like, the best fix ever?
That's interesting. Or maybe even introducing a new weapon that was like and you could tie it into lore, make it be like it's a Saradomin blessed weapon that doesn't favor fucking murderers. But
yeah.
I don't know. But like, that's an interesting idea. And then obviously there's people are going to be listening or whatever, and they're going to be like, well, you could just cheese that somehow. And like, I think the problem is like people are always going to find a way to cheese it, and I don't think you can always not bring out content because someone's going to cheese it. Maybe you bring it out, see how they're going to cheese it, and then tweak it.
Yeah,
as you can.
My whole thought process was, if you're doing like PVM content in the wilderness where you need like the crossbow or something, and you want to give PVMers the incentive to like anti-PK and actually get those cool wilderness fights that you were like, as a company that Jagex is like trying to get more of, you can just make it so that the crossbow, if you're unskulled, does like more damage against people who are skulled. And that means like if you're unskulled and you're PVMing and PKers come and try to kill you, all of a sudden you're leveling the playing field by giving yourself like a really strong weapon. And then you have to make a choice in the moment, like an actual fight or flight mechanic where it's like, I have this really strong weapon. Do I trust myself to like attack these guys and go for it and maybe win big? Or do I just like get the hell out of Dodge, basically, and try to teleport out or try to get to the wilderness ditch?
I think that is a cool idea, because there's some people who are just hate wilderness content and I'll never go there because that's just how they are. But like, they also won't enjoy any sort of PvP content. And I would say like, I'm not good at PvP at all, but I enjoy Last Man Standing. I enjoy like other PvP content. And I want to be good at PKing, but that's just a whole different skill set. So like the way the wilderness is for me right now, it's like pretty good. If I'm doing the Chaos Altar, an altar in the wilderness that gives you like accelerated prayer experience pretty much. I could bring a Din's Bulwark, which is it's a two-handed shield that gives you a lot of defense bonuses, and I know they've nerfed it in the past, but still, whenever I bust it out, there's a good chance the person's not even going to kill me.
Yeah, it's still pretty strong.
Yeah, it's still strong, but what I'll do is I'll bring that. I bring Vengeance. I bring an AGS. And then I just make sure I bring a bunch of throwaway items. So if they do kill me, I'm dropping Black D'Hide. I'm dropping stuff that I don't care about. And then if I do get attacked, I'll try to time up a Vengeance and an Armadillo or an AGS spec to take them out. Now, if you're facing someone who's good, probably not going to let that happen. But, you do bump into people who you can just tell, like, okay, this guy's not like crazy good. This guy is like, I might have a chance.
Like peeking on the weekend or something for fun.
Yeah. It's tough. Like, no, people are always going to be unhappy about that sort of stuff. Because I get annoyed when I get PK'd too, and it like makes me like kind of frustrated. But at the same time, I do have a lot of fun when it's a close call, whether I still get killed or I do get away. It's kind of a bit of an adrenaline boost. Yeah, it's so I have mixed feelings about wilderness content, but I don't think Jag should ever not introduce stuff into the wilderness because it's not PvP related. I think having these random bosses at least makes things a bit interesting. Originally, when they added the bosses, they called it the Wilderness Rejuvenation some odd years ago. It's because like people just weren't PKing, so they had to bring people into the wilderness somehow, and
But people still aren't PKing is the problem. Like, okay, yes, people are killing other players in the wilderness more than I guess they were in like the worst of it, but it's still not like the kind of PKing that we grew up with, A or B, that like Jagex wants to promote. Like, it's not like you go into the wilderness, you see these like incredible one-on-one fights and like clans fighting each other and stuff like that. Like really, honestly, like PvP worlds at the Grand Exchange is probably where you're gonna get the closest thing to like old days of like actual PvP. Because right now PKing to me is not like, okay, yes, technically you are killing another player, but like you killing a skiller who's like sitting there trying to use his bones on an altar as fast as possible so that they don't lose the experience when you kill them. That is not like the height of PvP that Jagex wants to think it is. Like, yes, they're incentivizing people with these new bosses. Congrats. Like, you got people in the game who are going to now rag other players who didn't even want to participate in PvP in the first place, right? If you want to incentivize people to PK, why don't you have a mechanic where it's like the more you risk, the more rewards you're going to receive, or something like that. You know, like the bounty hunter rework that they're trying to do, but make it more global in that sense. So it's still not like fully fleshed out as a system.
I think it's tough.
Did they rejuvenate the wilderness? I would say no. I would honestly say they haven't rejuvenated the wilderness. They've brought people in and rejuvenate, if you want to like go by the definition. Did they bring life to the wilderness? No, because everybody there is dead inside. They don't want to be there. Or if they are genuine PKers, then they had no soul to begin with. So
that's fair enough. That's a fair take. I would disagree though, saying that it's tough because I get that the way the wilderness used to be in 2006, because I used to be all about PKing back then. I was like specifically built my account to PK back in 15 years ago, and yeah, the wilderness was alive. It was different. There was all these hot spots for PKing depending on what sort of fighting you wanted to do. They had the castle by the Green Dragons. That was like where peers would go, and it was great because it was both multi-combat and non-multi. So you would have people kind of fighting in both sets, whether you're a team or you're a solo player, sometimes jumping in between the two to mix things up. You had Edgeville, which has always been kind of popular, but you also had Varrock, level 1 Varrock, which was like Edgeville PKing. Edgeville PKing is all like 1v1s around the same level. Varrock was people same level, but multi-fighting, so little teams fighting. And then you had the Mage Bank. The Mage Bank is where I was always like, I love to go to the Mage Bank. I wanted to build my account up to PK at the Mage Bank because Mage Bank is way deep in the wilderness. There's a lever that will bring you to a bank, so you could easily get out and go back to PKing if you need to re-up on supplies. And there was like obstacles and stuff you could use to kind of manipulate other opponents. And people just all the time were PKing there, and that's where and it was solo, so you would have both teams and solo players kind of like duking it out there. Yeah. But it sucks because like today, that's gone. That's not going to happen. People were just there because that's where people were to fight. You go to the Mage Bank now, there's like almost nobody ever there because why would people go to the Mage Bank to fight? What's the point? Where are people coming from? Like, why are they going to the Mage Bank? Back then it was just because people were fighting, but now everyone is just so much better. The people who can PK know how to PK. They know the optimal way to do it. Back in the day, you would just DDS, and that was what a lot of people were using. Now it's Gmaul into AGS. Like, they're able to combo way more. So I think that scares off a lot of lower skilled players from PKing. So then they stop going to the wilderness, and it kind of dies down a bit more. But at least with the rejuvenation, maybe it's not where people would want it, but I do think it brought more life into it because, like, personally, I find myself going to the wilderness for not all the time, but I do go out. I'll train all my prayer in the wilderness. I'll go do wilderness bosses if I want to get a clue scroll or something. I bring my Ring of Wealth because it speeds up the drop rate a bit. I'm trying to think. I don't do the Revenant Cave, but we'll talk about that later when things get out of control. So
no, I get you, and I realize like I'm being really cynical here. Like I am very, very cynical about the wilderness, and I can come off negative, and I'm sure that's like the case. But it's just like after years of them trying and failing and trying and failing and trying and failing to like fix the wilderness, fix PvP. How many bounty hunter reworks has it been? Like, I genuinely
so many
don't know,
that we
'cause
don't
every
even
time-
cover them on these recaps because I don't know what's the point in doing a change if it's changed since then.
Yeah, literally, like we were doing a recap a couple weeks ago or whatever for like maybe February or something, and they proposed a bounty hunter rework, and we were like, should we discuss this? And the answer was like, no, because this has already been scrapped anyway. Like, they tried this and it failed, so it's just that's where like my cynicism comes from for PKing, where it's like they want to bring it back, but they could
totally.
definitely. Like, I'm not saying PKing it cannot be a thing. I'm just saying in its current broken state, it is not where it should be, and that's a problem. Obviously, if Jagex wants to fix the state of the game when it comes to PvP, but
yeah, totally. Like with your opinion on where the wilderness currently is, like I would disagree in the sense that I think there is more life into it since they brought it, but I think that your opinions and your thoughts on it you're echoing what a lot of the PVM community thinks about PKing, right? And which is it gets tough.
Yeah, well, it's not just the PVMers, but it's also like the skillers who have to go into the wilderness and things like that. Even just like diary hunters and stuff. Like, I'm not going into the wilderness for any kind of PVM. I'm going in literally because I need to do a stupid diary and I need to mine runite ore from a stupid golem and having my skill tick down right as I'm about to get the runite ore. I'm still salty. But that being aside, like, it's the fact that it's PvP community versus literally every other type of community. Like, the clue hunters hate going into the wilderness, the skillers hate going into the wilderness, PVMers hate going into the wilderness for Slayer tasks, even though if you're going for like a Slayer, if you need like Slayer points or whatever, doing Wilderness Slayer is still the best, like, points per hour if you optimize your block list. But it doesn't matter because you're going to get PK'd on half your tasks anyway, so you know what I mean? Like, that's
the tough one where you have to, you have to balance out if it's worth it, and it's hard to calculate. You know, I could say, hey, Venenatus gives you this much money per hour. But I mean, if I get PK'd every time, especially if I'm overstaying, it doesn't matter how much money per hour I can make. I'm giving it away, basically. And
exactly.
But I think it's a good mechanic. Just the way with RuneScape being a sandbox game, I think it allows for creativity if somebody wants to on how they can manage being a PVMer in the wilderness. You know, I know in the CC sometimes someone's like, I have to get my Mage Arena 2 cape, and it sucks that you have to go get the best in slot cape in the wilderness, but it makes things interesting when somebody's now trying to call upon friends being like, I need some bodyguards, and it's like, oh, that sounds kind of fun. Like, we had that in the CC. Someone was trying to get their Mage Arena 1 cape, but there's people trying to PK them. So I jumped on, ran over to go kill the 2, and I got my ass kicked because I kind of don't know how anything works in the wilderness, apparently. But
yeah,
it was fun. And I love that sort of freedom to be able to do it. But we're going to talk about it shortly. Things can get out of hand. And that's actually going to be our first update. So anyways, I said I was going to bring this back to Hallowed Sepulchre. So what I'm trying to say is, when I needed a break from PVM and wilderness content because I kept getting my ass kicked, the Hallowed Sepulchre has been a thankful distraction from other grinds. And it has made me want to go to 92 agility so that I can access the final floor of the Hallowed Sepulchre. And so far it's been good because I've already leveled it twice, and thieving might become one of my new most dreaded skills because I need to get that to 91, and I am like dreading having to train that for the Desert Diaries.
Yeah. I actually got 99 thieving before I did like anything else on my account for some reason. I just really enjoyed thieving. I also, when I was a kid, I did a mix of blackjacking until like Pyramid Plunder, and then when I got to like 81, I started doing Pyramid Plunder and a little bit of blackjacking because I think it was still better, and then some RD9s as well. So I would like, this was back when I was in college and had a bunch more free time, but I would like do some blackjacking or Pyramid Plunder depending on my level and where I was at. And then once I got bored or I wanted to switch gears, I would like just do RD nights. I have a friend actually who did this where he got like 200 mil thieving experience on a hardcore Iron Man through RD nights, and what he did was like he set up his account to where like he used a kick pedal, which is super cool.
Interesting.
Like every time he would like hit the kick pedal, it would be one click, and he said it was like legit because it's a 1-to-1 action, I guess. So it doesn't count as like using an AHK or something because every one kick is one like click. So he would just be like cooking dinner and just like drumming on a kick pedal in the background. It was pretty weird, but that's what I did. Like I did a mix of all three, and I didn't enjoy it too much. Pyramid Plunder is pretty fun. It's like the original Hallowed Sepulchre, if you want to think about it that way. Like way back when you navigate traps and you have to like get it, and you get like the same kind of cool reward, even though it's like way smaller in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
So
yeah. The nice thing about Hallowed Sepulchre is you can get like a 60 mil drop.
Yeah.
The Pyramid Plunder, it's like 7 mil, maybe even less. I have no idea what it's at right now, but
yeah.
So actually, bring up a quick point before we move over to the news. Jagex has this rule where you can, as long as you're doing one-to-one actions in the game, you can kind of get away with something as long as you're actually doing it. So like, if I hit 5 on my keyboard and it clicks for me, that's okay. But I can't hit 5 on my keyboard and then my mouse moves to a spot and clicks, because that's now I'm doing one action to do 2 things in game.
Yeah. So it's to stop botting and stuff like that.
Yeah, and to stop people from hitting spacebar and then 5 clicks happen, which is like, yeah, basically botting. So what that also means is, since you have to do the action, people have tried, and I don't think it works, is getting one of those, those bird from The Simpsons, it shows it, but there's like that bird thing that goes down and it'll like click, it'll peck the ground every 5 seconds or something, and people could set that up so that it's clicking the mouse, and maybe you're thieving, or you're alking, so then every 5 seconds the bird clicks for you.
I'm pretty sure you mentioned this before, but yeah, I know what you're talking about, where it's like you're gonna train a bird to do your skilling for you.
Yeah, so you're not allowed to do that. Jagex said like, no, that counts as botting because you're not doing anything, right? But you could use your foot. Could you set up something so that when your heart beats, it would register a click? Right? Because would you be technically doing anything?
That's pretty good. I didn't expect you to go there. I didn't even realize what you were going to say when I thought the bird thing was like where you were going with this, but that is actually pretty genius, because technically you are doing something, right? It is just like an involuntary act, but
you have to stay alive, I guess. I wonder if you could get away with that, or if they'd be like, no, don't be ridiculous.
Yeah.
When I blink, it clicks for me, and it's no, you can't do that. A little thought experiment. I wonder how that would go over, but we'd have to see.
Now you've just made me like manually have to blink. Like I'm not cognizant of the fact that I'm blinking.
Oh yeah, I was doing that with breathing. So I was thinking like, what if you breathe and it clicks?
People listening to this podcast are gonna have the worst time. Now they're like focused on blinking and breathing and everything.
Yeah, maybe they're sitting on a bus and then people are gonna be like, why is that guy twitching across from me? All right, we went on for long enough. Let's get into the news. Okay, so speaking of the wilderness, we got a few things going on. And so we're going to be looking quickly and just to discuss a bit more. We've already talked about it a bit, but this is when I was saying earlier, where do you draw the line? Because a sandbox game, you should be able to have the freedom to do these cool little things like, hey, I need bodyguards. Let's go into the wilderness. I'll pay you guys some money. Maybe you can help me. But things can get quickly out of control so the freedom of a sandbox becomes its downfall. So we're looking at the Revenant Caves, which is a cave in the wilderness. It's like between 30 and 40, or between like 25 and 30 or 40 wilderness, something like that. But
yeah,
so you can go there and there's monsters and they drop a lot of money. They're such good money makers. But the downfall is you're in the wilderness. It's multi-combat. It doesn't take much for somebody to show up and kill you. And what started happening is you'd have a bunch of PVMers killing these monsters for money, and then a clan would pop up, and they would run through the Revenant Caves. They'd kill every person, and they'd just clean it out, and they would loot, switch to a world, and keep doing that. I've been a part of it on both sides, and it's kind of fun to be on the clan side of swooping through and cleaning everyone out. It can be a lot of fun. Unfortunately, they are easy targets, so it's fun for bad PKers, I guess. But I did encounter a few times where you would show up in a world, you'd clean it out, and then another clan would show up because maybe they had an alt AFKing in there or something, and then they would come and swoop and kill you because, I mean, they're going to get so much more money if they can kill a PKing clan. So that's what would happen. And it was interesting for a while until clans but they kind of set up this system, which very controversial. And I at first I thought this is cool that clans can do this. But then I got to a point where like, okay, it was cool. And now it's kind of like really hurting the integrity of the Revenant Caves. So what clans would do, they would lock down a world of the Revenant Caves, and then a person like myself, I could pay them like 5 mil. I don't know the prices, but there's YouTube videos out there that cover it. But I could pay them 5 mil, and they'll allow me to kill Revenants in that cave for like 1 hour. They would offer protection if another clan came to try to kill me, and they themselves wouldn't kill me. Now, I mean, the problem is they can protect you, and if another clan shows up and the clan's stronger, it doesn't matter if they can protect you or not because you're just going to die. So on paper, that sounds awesome. I'm like, I love the idea of a clan kind of owning a world that you now have to purchase a service from them where they have to kind of protect you in that world. You're paying them to do that, but the protection means nothing if the stronger clan can come across and then just destroy you and that clan. And the problem that happened though was that clans just locked down every world. Like all the most popular, like the best worlds to do Revenant Caves on were now locked by clans. And clans weren't really killing each other for the worlds. They just kind of divvied up the worlds. And this caused a problem where Jagex like, okay, we need to figure out how to prevent this from happening. And Jagex basically addressed that, yes, there is an issue, multiple reasons, because real world traders can now easily farm gold. That's not good. Nobody likes that. They'll sell gold. It makes everything all screwy. But so Jagex obviously wants to tackle for that incentive, but then also for players, it's not great. So one of the ideas they say here is roaming revenants. There's a lot of public support for a lot of variation of the game content. Some suggest that the revenants might roam in hotspots on rotation. This is basically what they did when they first released Revenants in 2007 as a way to make the wilderness not completely dead when they removed the PKing. That's one idea that they've thought to make it a bit more roaming, so the clan can't literally lock down a cave if they're roaming all around the wilderness. Next was remapping the cave, changing the actual structure of it. There was a 2011 design. They must have brought out some Revenant caves when they brought back PKing in 2011. So they thought maybe something like that with more hiding spots and more escape routes so that you're not just screwed when a clan shows up. Changing the bracelet, you have to get a Revenant bracelet that helps you not get any damage from the Revenants. So they thought maybe either making it so that you still take a little bit of damage so you can't just camp for long sessions at a time. That might be an idea to explore. Changing the loot, rebalancing some of the loot. I know we mentioned that they removed about 20%, but clearly that's not enough. Another idea is task-only Revenant caves, so that you have to get them as a task. So you can get them a task and then face them in a cave where you can't get PK'd as easily. Another one was deleting the Rev caves altogether, but they don't want to do that. And the last idea was banning clans and teams from locking down areas. So this is where I have mixed feelings of it, obviously, but this is what they say. This is one that we're undecided on. We see a lot of you, and we see a lot of people disagreeing about it. To clarify, we're referring to clans and teams who are engaging legitimately with the content rather than for rule-breaking reasons. Other MMOs like EVE and Albion Online, which are both very sandboxy MMOs, they would normally celebrate this sort of emergent open-world PvP gameplay. So internally, we're trying to reach consensus on how we feel about it. So as I mentioned, it's great to have the freedom to have that sort of stuff. Magpies, as you mentioned, it can create a more toxic environment if it's done.
Yeah, so like our opening discussion basically went over most of these ideas or like touched on some of them. You actually name dropped EVE. I don't know if you did it like referencing this or not. That would be a pretty cool like foresight, hindsight wraparound to like tie up this episode. But yeah, like it's clear that they have different approaches without like telling us anything. They basically said a lot without saying exactly anything. They don't tell us which ones they're preferring. They're saying they're going to look at the data, blah, 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 which I know it's going to be like a tough decision based on what they decide. I think like either, fixing the caves themselves or fixing the mechanics of Revenants or just deleting Rev Caves as a whole. It's really not a big benefit to the game, I don't think. It brings a lot of issues with real world trading and modding and PvP clans locking down areas and those PvP clans having real world trading ties and stuff like that. So there's always been like a notoriety or a controversy around Rev Caves. And yeah, that would be my suggestion. But
and the reason they brought up Albion and Eve is because, like, as I mentioned, they're very sandboxy, but like Eve, I'll say Albion real quickly because I played that game a bit. Clans can literally run. They own cities in the game. Every city is like owned by a clan, and they can decide what taxes and stuff. So the clans get some sort of cut from it, but it also makes prices of things go up. So then if I'm a trader, I might not go to that city. I might go to this other city instead that has cheaper rates. And then of course, it'll cause other clans to kind of try to steal other cities from other clans. Really cool system, but it's different. And same with Eve. I've never played Eve, but I'm sure many people like myself have heard stories of these massive battles that make all these like gaming headlines. They even have books written after these online battles where in Eve, corps are the way to play the game, basically clans, and clans can lock down systems like star systems of some sorts. If you play Eve, I know my terminology is going to be all over the place, but this is how I perceive the game from what I've heard and hear about these battles. But so clans can own these like areas and these systems. And of course, the biggest clan's going to have locked down some really important areas, and it makes it really hard for smaller clans to get it. But what happens every now and then is these smaller clans end up either they join another clan to become bigger, or they ally with these other clans, and then they plan for, I guess, months on these giant attacks on how they can attack this big clan and steal part of their land or part of the solar system that they've locked down. And then these big battles happen that last like 48 hours, and people are literally staying up all night calling in sick to work. And then after the battle, people have broken down the actual real world value of ships that got destroyed in that battle. And it's like hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of ships where like tons of people are part of it. That sounds cool. I hear these stories. I'm like, that sounds so cool to get into. But then the downside is if you want to play Eve, you need to join a clan. And some people don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So that's why they're mixed, because like Eve promotes that sort of gameplay, which is really cool. But then last thing you want is to play RuneScape and be like, yeah, you need to join a clan to do anything. And you're like, well, God damn it. That's what happened with Deadman mode. And yeah. It's a tricky situation. So it's this, I don't know, how do you feel about a clan having the ability to lock down a world, and now you have to pay services to use that world, but you do gain protection from that clan?
Yeah, like I kind of like that you can like take matters into your own hands when it comes to like the RuneScape economy, where it's like you can like charge people for something like that. It does come off as like bullying to some extent, where it's like a bully like locking up the playground slide and only letting you in for like $2.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah.
The one exception obviously is like for services, like services teams which like do skills on your account, log in for you. That's obviously a totally different story,
right?
But it just depends. Where it's like that's a pretty cool way to like explore the world of an MMORPG and like push it to the boundaries of like a player-driven economy. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, where it's things like that where you're actually just worsening the experience for most people. Like, I mean, Rev Caves is by far like it's not exactly the pinnacle of OSRS's like appeal, but to some people it can be really cool if it could just be like an actual hub of PvP and stuff like that. Whereas now it's literally just like this world is for Rot and this world is for Legion or whatever, and like you're literally just going like you're picking your poison. It's like a monopoly. It's like big PK clan. Like, you know what I mean? Like big pharma. controls like half the markets. Like Big PK Clan controls half the wilderness worlds.
Yeah, and that's where the problem happens. Like, it's great when you're like, oh, maybe a few worlds are locked down. So, like, yeah, I can not pay money. I can go to, like, a free world and be fine. Or I could pay them $5 million, maybe get lucky, make $20 million that hour. I get protection, don't have to worry. But ideally, you would hope more clans would be fighting for those worlds against other clans. And that just wasn't happening as much as people would hope. So it's like this weird line where I want clans to be able to do that sort of services, but it also can't get to a point where like that's the only way to do that content. But on the other hand is if it's a sandbox MMO, it's weird to put these weird restrictions where like, okay, clans can't do this because...
Well, I'm going to be honest there, and I'm going to say, like, I think your argument about the whole OSRS being a sandbox thing, I don't think crosses, like, Jagex's mind too much. I think that's just, like, one interpretation of how the game is. Some people would call it a sandbox, like, some people... I personally would call it a sandbox, and it's just, like, you can do whatever you want, but in the same way, it's not really a sandbox game like Minecraft, where it's, like, you can shape the world, or you can... Yeah, that's technically what, like, a sandbox is, but...
Well, maybe let me clarify real quick, because I always say sandbox, and I do consider it a sandbox, but I compared to, like, Minecraft, no, they're completely different. But, like, in the MMO world, I always hear that there's two terms, like a sandbox MMO, which is you kind of left to you build your own adventure, and then there's theme park MMOs, which is like World of Warcraft, where, like, you're in this world where Blizzard has put all of these fun activities for you to do.
Yeah.
So you go do them. Whereas RuneScape is like, yeah, there's a bunch of stuff to do, but you're kind of left to create your own fun using those toys, I guess. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
No, I get you 100%. I've just had like an idea of like how to fix. I might have mentioned this before, but like this will never work if the wilderness is still like the hub for like best in slot mage cape and best in slot like prayer training or whatever. So they're gonna need to address that. But for example, what if they just literally cut down the wilderness in terms of like how many worlds can access the wilderness? So there are some worlds where you can't even enter the wilderness on that world. And what that means is if you only have like 5 or 10 worlds where the wilderness is available to you, that just makes it a whole lot more populated, and you will get a lot more action in the wilderness. It will suck if they don't like remove the wilderness bosses and like, because there's going to be competition for everything, and you're going to get PK'd every single time you go do something like that. But if, for example, they didn't use the wilderness to incentivize PVMers to get their major arena capes or do their Slayer tasks or train prayer or do a clue scroll, for example, and it's just literally 5 worlds of all-out action and PKing content where those are the only 5 worlds where you can even access the wilderness, I think that would solve a lot of its problems.
Yeah, that would be. I think it would be tough. Like, I like the idea, but I also do like the idea of there being a lot of non-PvP content, because then it creates this like circle where it's not like, maybe it's because I look at games like Eve, which is also another sandbox, quote unquote, MMO. I've never played it, but you hear all these stories that really can only happen from letting players the freedom to create these services or these creative ways of tackling problems. And I guess it's hard because like sometimes the average player just wants to go and get their best in slot cape in the wilderness without having to like now navigate clan chats or Discord services and be like, hey, can I get some bodyguards to help me do it? And I love the idea of that, but then again, it does take more work if you want to go do that content. You can't just jump in and go. It's tricky. And I don't know. I think everyone's gonna have a different opinion, and I don't think there's like one way to fix it. Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one. So anyways, the main reason I bring up the Revenant Caves is because Jagex is trying to figure out ways to squash the whole problem with clans owning worlds. So anyways, they have made some proposed changes to the Revenant Caves where they reduce the average value of loot by around 20%. That's can be pretty big. Anyways, they're going to be monitoring the Revenant worlds because they want people to go there. I mean, they want clans to still be able to enjoy stuff, but they don't want it to be necessary for you to find a clan protected world and pay them fees. So that's what's going on there. And it's I mean, as people could tell, it's controversial. It's not an easy one either because Magpie, I think you and I could talk on it for like hours on hours about our different thoughts and what we think we could do to change it and whether or not it would work. And, everyone's vision of the wilderness will be a little bit different depending on what they want to do and what they want to see in
definitely
the landscape. So it's interesting stuff. Like I've thought of the idea of having a raid set in the wilderness where like the lobby is like a dangerous zone. Like I've thought about like, oh, that'd be so cool to like go to this raid and you have to like, oh man, like I hope we don't get killed along the way, or I hope we have to bring good gear, but also not gear that I'd want to lose. But then so that sounds cool. It sounds like, oh, it's super dangerous to get to the raid, but then the counter side is you'd have clans locking. You know what I mean? You'd fall into these same problems.
It's also really easily like I could already see like it being really easily exploited, where you just bring in a bunch of alts, each having like 3 items on them.
Yeah, it's an idea that like, oh, that would be cool, but would it work? Probably not. So there's a lot of stuff like that. Anyways, let's move on from the wilderness content, at least for now. But moving on, this is a quick little note they made is updates were usually going live Thursday morning. So they've recently announced back in August that they are changing this to Wednesday morning so that they can monitor their updates and make any changes. This gives them, 3 full days. That's assuming they're releasing an update in the morning on Wednesday. So it gives them Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to monitor and make any changes they need. Whereas beforehand, they just had Thursday and Friday, which sometimes issues would happen over the weekend. And then, then that happened. So moving that up, nothing big, but yeah. All right, moving on to the next dev blog from August 12th. This is just some cosmetic changes. So speaking of the Hallowed Sepulchre earlier, you could get the Dark Graceful is one of the rewards from it. I thought it was a little lame when they announced it, but I'll be damned, it does look pretty cool. And by the way, during that RuneFest announcement, they never talked about the Ring of Endurance. So anyways, the Dark Graceful was gray. So now they've made it darker, and it looks cool.
Yep.
The Ceradomin Halo, they made it a darker blue to match the rest of the Ceradomin gear. What else they got? That seems to be pretty much it. All right, moving on. Next is the Mahogany Homes. This is basically, I mean, I haven't done this yet. Have you done this?
I tried it out a little bit. It's basically like a cheaper, slower version of construction. It's not something that's like, if you're going for the fastest experience rates you're going to do necessarily, but if you're cheap, but if you're like, not if you're cheap, but if you're like looking for a cheaper method, or if you're an Iron Man, you like can't afford the planks or something, it seems like it's pretty legit as an alternative training method. So
yeah, it works similar to how farming contracts work from the Farming Guild. You'll get a task to create some sort of furniture. You complete it, and you'll get a little loot box with, for the most part, more resources. I should probably like give a quick breakdown of like the rewards and stuff before I say this. So basically the rewards are you get a plank sack to carry your planks. You get an equipable saw, which you can use for construction. That's cool.
It's for 500 carpenter points, which I believe you'll like get carpenter points from doing tasks. There's also a carpenter's outfit, which gives you experience, and the Assidious Wall Kit, which is like a new cool cosmetic upgrade for your POH to make
Looks
it
cool.
look
I like that.
It's pretty dope. 2,000 points for that. It's pretty expensive, so if you see it, it's definitely a flex. Someone put in the time for it. I don't know how many points you get per hour or something. I know you get like 5 points for like a 70 construction level expert task, but you're also spending 6 mil, I think, at that point. No, it's like 2 mil for the wall kit in terms of how much you're spending.
Oh,
plus
to
the time
build
that you
it.
need. Well, it's how many points, because you still need to spend money on the supplies to actually do the construction tasks, right? So.
Oh, okay. Interesting. All right. It is important to note, though, you do get the construction supply crates, which will give you some of your resources back.
You have to buy those as well. So it's like you have to decide, are you going to get the money back or are you going to get the wall kit?
Oh.
Yeah, the supply crate costs
I didn't realize
25
that.
points. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, so that's pretty neat. A cool thing, too, is, if I'm not mistaken, you're building furniture. So it gives you... You can make furniture and turn them into, they're almost like banknotes. I don't even know what you want to call them, but they're like
the flat packs.
Yeah, the flat packs. So yeah, you can make the furniture, which allows you to trade them, and I think that's what you have to make.
Yeah, it's like IKEA services in old school. Like literally,
Right,
old school added IKEA way back when they added flat packs. You just like get this box from the GE, and it like has all the stuff you need to build like this weird study hall or something.
But nobody used the flat packs, so like now. It's cool to you're actually having to build them, and they have a use instead of just giving someone a chair and a rope and saying use. You know, how many times I've seen
that
people
was okay. That was really dark. But what I was gonna say is, like, do you remember the artisan skill?
Yeah, the idea of it. Yeah.
Okay, so this is gonna be really obvious where I'm going with this, but the artisan skill was this skill that was pulled before warding, way before warding, and it was basically the like Jagex's skilling alternative to Slayer, where it's like you go to an artisan master, like a Slayer master, and they give you like a skilling based task, like you have to make 14, I don't know, like 14 mahogany tables, or there's another one for crafting where you have to make like 20 black dragon hide bodies or something. So that failed the poll, right?
Yep.
And since then, they've come out with farming contracts where you go to a specific NPC and they assign you specific tasks to do for points.
Mm-hmm.
You now have mahogany homes, which is you go to a construction NPC and they give you construction tasks for points. Do you see where I'm going with this? Where it's like,
I do.
Jagex is like adding artisan in, but like skill by skill, and people are loving it, which makes me think that artisan like probably should have just come out and saved us all the hassle. But
I think part of the problem was like there was the rewards tied to it just didn't seem good, and these kind of work better as like an activity. I remember they were saying like a tool belt, kind of like what RuneScape 3 has, where you can have your chisel, your knife, your axe, your hammer, your saw, all in one spot.
Yeah, that's far too like RS3's version of that is really broken. So.
Yeah, it's tough because like you want to bring rewards. Like when you bring a new skill, it has to have some decent rewards, like a ton of them, right? And they have to like gradually get better. And this has always been the problem with most of the skills they've pitched. So artisan was a skill they pitched. Sailing, which honestly would have been kind of cool, was a skill they pitched. Didn't work out. It was supposed to be like a dungeoneering, but with boats.
Yeah.
And then what was the other one? Warding is the other skill that didn't pass either. And warding, I think, was probably the best skill so far, like the most fleshed out.
Yeah.
So not quite there, but yeah, it's a good point. They're bringing artisan to OSR. They're sneaking it in on us.
Yeah, I think you're right. Actually, I didn't even consider the fact that these aren't skills in themselves. Like artisan was a skill, whereas these are just like add-ons to the skill, which is probably a way better fit. I never really thought of it that way, so you're probably right in that sense. Like, it's better for these to be integrated within the skills that they are meant for, like farming contracts for farming and construction, mahogany homes for construction. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they seem to work. I mean, I'm not gonna. Most people, I bet, aren't gonna be doing the construction. Although I might do it because some of it looks kind of cool. Like the Sidious wall kit looks kind of dope, actually. I kind of like that. I kind of want that. So this might be a good way to train construction without doing doors endlessly, because as fast as experience as it is, it's really kind of brutal to do, I find. I've had like 10,000 oak planks sitting in my bank for so long, saying that I'm going to train up my construction, but just never do it because it sucks.
Yeah, I'm actually exactly in the same boat where it's like I have anytime I get like a planks drop, like an oak, mahogany, or teak planks, I keep it in my bank and I never sell. I have like 20 mils stashed in planks now, and I'm just like waiting on it to be big enough to fund my own construction cape, which, like, at this point, I'd rather just go for the construction cape, so I might just do that. Like, next week, I'll be like, yeah, I got 99 construction, but...
It's fast. You could have it done by next week. It's such a fast skill to train. It's just not fun. And yeah, it's like less fun than, like, with, like, pickpocketing, you could AFK Artie Knight, sort of, so that, like, you could watch something, and the problem with construction is, like, you kind of have to be a little bit more mentally focused.
Definitely.
A little bit more. Anyways, yeah, that's the construction. What do we call it? The Mahogany Homes. Yeah, but with it, they brought a new mini quest called Daddy's Home. I don't know why they went with that name.
Yeah. Great name.
Did you watch Nathan For You?
I do, yes. It is a great, great show
that I was put on
to by another member in the CC, actually.
Everyone should watch it. It's one of my favorite shows of all time. It's so goddamn funny. But there's an episode where Nathan For You comes up with these silly business ideas that, like, on paper seem like, wow, this is really smart, but it would actually never work for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
So whenever I see the title Daddy's Home, I instantly think of Daddy's Watching from Nathan For You. Have you seen that episode?
No, I haven't.
Oh my God, so funny. It's this dating website, and they want to bring more customers. So then what Nathan proposes is to have an experience where the women feels much more safe.
Up until age 18, most women have a daddy keeping tabs on any man she goes out with. But once she gets bigger, daddy's no longer around, but danger still is. So if Dating DNA offered a security service where female users could request to have someone secretly watch over their first dates, the website would quickly become the obvious choice for women looking to date online, because they know that daddy's watching.
And they have a line where it's like, if the girl's ever in trouble, she has to yell, what is it?
Daddy's watching?
No, it was, Daddy, help me now. Daddy, you made a vow. She has to yell that when she needs help from the guy.
And because we're trying this out for today, I'll be your daddy.
Okay.
And we also have some branding kind of elements we're trying to incorporate. So if you're ever in fear at any time during your date, just yell out, Daddy, come over now, save my life, you made a vow.
Sounds good.
So do you want to practice that? Or?
What would happen if I just yelled help? Like, what's the significance of me
if
yelling?
I just hear help, that could be anyone. But the daddy rhyme, I know it's you.
Cool.
All right.
Thank you, Nate.
Nathan.
Yeah,
you can call me Nate.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Either way.
All right.
It's casual.
Anywho, back onto the mini quest, Daddy's Home. Weird name, but it is a mini quest, which is actually not terrible. It's terrible for my main account. It's probably terrible for you, Magpies, but for a new account, especially like an Iron Man, it's great. You basically talk to someone, the real estate agent in Varrock, and he'll tell you, hey, there's a broken house in the slums of Varrock that needs to be repaired. So you go and it'll have a bunch of areas that needs to be fixed up. He gives you some of the resources to fix them, but you need to bring along some planks as well. And you fix them up, you get some experience, but then once you're done, you get even more experience, and you get some more supplies to use afterwards, and you get a free house in Remington, I believe. So you save 5K there, so that's really great for like a new player. You can get right into construction. You don't need to worry about getting levels and then getting the supply, or getting the money to buy the house and then getting money to buy supplies. You can kind of jump right in. And for my Iron Man, when I wanted to do Wintertod, it's recommended to get some construction levels because you can repair the fire pits and you get a bunch of construction experience, but it scales with your level. And it's better to get to like level 15 or 20 construction so that you're getting like 200 experience drops versus like
instead of like 10.
Instead of like 10, which would take forever. So anyways, that's where I think Daddy's Home is really good. It's great for a new player to jump right into construction. Any thoughts before we move on?
No, I think we covered everything. Like we covered the whole artisan angle. Yeah, I don't know. It seems like it's not going to be super super fun except for like completionists or Iron Man. But I'm not like this would have been a perfect episode for Heartless to like chime in on how this changes the Iron Man meta. Considering you still need supplies, it doesn't seem like it'll like offset the cost of getting the planks yourself and stuff like that. So I'm not really sure who is going to benefit the most from this kind of update, but
Yeah,
it changes up the
tough.
construction meta of just like clicking until your hands fall off. So I guess that's nice to get like an alternative experience method. The rewards seem like Jagex always does this, where like the rewards are way too expensive. Like they did it with a couple of other. I think like they did it with the Sepulchre rewards as well, and some other things. But
We
like,
went on a tangent for too long. There's actually a point I wanted to make with the Hallowed Sepulchre. You know what? I'm going to make a note. We're going to talk about it next episode. So we get to talk about Hallowed Sepulchre twice. But
Okay,
that's with
for sure.
rewards on the way they do it. But I agree. It's kind of sucks when like I don't know how many points you can get, but like if I want to get the Hosidius wall redesign or whatever, I don't want to spend 10 hours having to do it. That's not fun.
oh,
for
that's
anyone.
actually I just did the math. It is actually 10 hours to get the
Oh my
wall.
God. I wish
It's
never-
actually you need more than 10 hours because you need to like the wiki says it's around 40 to 45 contracts an hour. So let's say you get 40 contracts an hour, you get 5 points per contract, so that's 200 points an hour. Blueprints are 2,000 points. You can do the math. So yeah, it is like 10 hours for
Oh my God. See, that's
that.
not fun for anyone. Like, why are you going to make somebody go through all of that? Now,
Yeah,
I don't know. I'd rather it be RNG where I open a crate and like, hey, I got lucky. I would much rather that, because when you break down something
Yeah.
by, no, it's going to take this amount of time, hands down. I'm sitting like, what else could I do in 10 hours? There's a lot.
Yeah.
Especially not that. So maybe it's good money or good experience. Who knows? Shame though. All right. Speaking of construction though, we're going to move. They did a costume room rework. So only reason we're going to be really bringing this up is because you can put for Ultimate Iron Man 2 or Iron Man, or if you're running out of bank space, or if you just want a cool looking house with just fleshed out with all your furniture, you can get a wardrobe where you stash different costumes, different sets of armor. Like you can put full Mystic in there and you can take it out, save some bank space, but you have to go to your house every single time. So they've increased it so that you can put before you used to have to put a full set of gear, like a full set of armor, like the hat, top, bottom for Mystics. You used to have to put all of them in at once. Now you can put them in one at a time, but you can't remove them from the wardrobe unless you've completed the set.
Yeah.
So not a huge change there, but yeah. Blood Fury, and now has a 20% chance to heal for 30% melee damage. I guess this is what made the price of the Bloodstone go up.
Yeah. It's been like rising in popularity. There's a lot of stuff that like you can benefit from having Amulet of Blood Fury for. I personally don't use it. I still prefer the Torture. Torture's better DPS, which generally I would prefer, but there are some times where the Blood Fury is actually like somewhat, I don't know if it's better, but it's like a viable alternative.
Okay. No, that's great. Everyone loves having alternatives and things to choose from. Nobody wants like this is the end all be all set for whatever task you're doing.
Yeah.
That's great. Moving on. Now we are in September, and they have introduced a new quest called Porcine of Interest. Have you done this quest yet?
I have not. I have not done either of the two quests. They seem super short. I just like, honestly, like, it's the fact that they're so short that you're like, oh, I'll get to them later because they're so short.
No reason to do them. They're kind of like throwaway, but it seems like Jagex, maybe this year, they've, since working from home because of COVID, they're deciding to revisit the new player experience because that's what this seems like it's for. Same with Daddy's Home. So Porcine of Interest is a quest tied to Slayer where you have to kill a Sour Hog somewhere in Draenor, and this will give you some Slayer experience, which should bring you to like level 10 or something. And it would also give you a new Slayer Master to choose from.
Yeah. Another reason I haven't done this is just because like it gives you the new Sour Hogs as like an assignable Slayer monster, which like if you don't want to get that monster, it's just better to hold off on doing this quest specifically. I still don't have an excuse for doing the other quest, but it's I don't know why they didn't just call it like Sour Hog Slayer or something, you know, like because it's a Draenor village task where you have to kill a monster. It could have been like Vampire Slayer or Dragon Slayer, Demon Slayer, Sour Hog Slayer. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, okay, interesting. Yeah, the Sour Hog, you know, they don't drop anything crazy. A lot of herbs, a lot of seeds. So I mean, maybe some good resource. It drops an Addy Scimitar and an Addy Kite Shield. They are level 37, so this could be a way to get some early upgrades as an Iron Man. Even though you're probably not too far from Rune at that point, but
yeah. Again,
it's just like a ways for a new. They brought it in so that a new player can be introduced to Slayer through a quest, and it's similar to how, you know, now with Daddy's Home Construction is introduced through a quest, so that you don't have to just kind of talk to a Slayer. Because the thing with Slayer, you don't really get any introduction on what it is or what to do, except for like maybe you'll stumble across a Slayer Master that will tell you to kill some shit, and then you get some experience, and you're like, okay, whatever. So this gives you a way to actually learn it through a quest, which will introduce you to a new Slayer Master afterwards. So, yeah, more relevant for new players. Oh, this is kind of cool. I didn't know this. So next, we're going to be talking about some hill giants. A small tribe of hill giants have moved into their new home on the desert plateau where clan wars once stood. They've assimilatized to the local culture too, and will drop steel scimitars, iron medium helmets instead of steel longswords or iron full helmets. So be sure to give them a warm welcome. The picture looks kind of cool. It looks definitely like a hill giant that has spent some time at Pulvenich. Yeah. I couldn't think of any other. Pulvenich or something, but it's pretty neat. I have not seen them yet, but
yeah, they look pretty cool. I think this is good for like free to play accounts to get their steel scimitars. It says they drop iron med helms, but the picture makes it look like they're wearing a steel med helm. Giants,
yeah, that's
this
funny.
Please fix it. But other than that, they look pretty good. Ties into like the existing game world, I guess. So
yeah, it's pretty cool. So yeah, they moved Clan Wars, Last Man Standing, and all that PvP mini games into the wilderness at the Ferox Enclave.
Yep,
it's pretty neat. I'll have to go check them out. They look cool. Next is cleaning herbs. You can now clean all your herbs automatically after cleaning the first one. It's slower, but if you click it, it'll go through and clean all your herbs in your inventory at a much slower rate than manually clicking them all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does this work in raids too?
So this was a raids mechanic that they just like pulled and asked if they should like bring it to the main game as well.
Right, that makes sense.
But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the portion update. No, Zahor, also worth mentioning, it will clean like noted herbs now as well as unnoted herbs, which I think is still more expensive than to just like sell the grimy herbs on the Grand Exchange and like buy the cleaner version. Like you're going to spend less money on that than you will on Zahor services anyway. So what does it matter really?
Okay, moving on to some non-in-game stuff, but we'll talk about it because things are a little bit different this year. So it looks like there's going to be no Rune Fest. Normally Rune Fest had kicked off in October. That time has passed. Nothing really happened. But what they did instead was they held their 10th annual Golden Gnome Awards online. And the Golden Gnomes is where they give awards to content creators and other sort of people within the community for best. Well, we'll go through it and through some of the nominations. So the first one is the best new old school RuneScape video creator. So this is someone who just started making videos this year and who's like the hottest off the block, I guess. So these are the the nominees. First one is Nine Rain. Number 2 is Behemoth's OSRS Highlights. Number 3 is Poison Potion. And number 4 is Pulverizes. Familiar with any of these content creators?
Yeah, so Behemoth is like a big meme where it's like I think he just he recaps like big drops and stuff like that. If I'm thinking of the right guy.
Yeah, you are. It's interesting because I'm not sure what makes him different than the other stream highlight YouTubers, because there's a few of them in the past where people would shit on them all the time, being like they don't even make content, they just take other people's content and use that, and somehow it counts as their own. Behemoth for some reason is much more accepted. I don't know what he did differently, so yeah, maybe did he get permission from the streamers to actually use their clips versus maybe the other highlight channel didn't?
I would not know that. I don't, like, I can ask. I'm not sure if I have anyone that I recognize off his like latest videos, but I could definitely check in with them and like get back to you by the next episode or something.
And okay, so he says, I have permission, a written contract to use clips in my videos directly from the streamers. And that he doesn't just use streaming clips, but he uses specific clips to build a narrative for a video. So an example says, Hardcore Iron Man caught in wildy, dies, anti-scam earns him GP. It's an 11-minute video, so maybe all of the clips will be tailored to that sort of content. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with this content. I just thought it was interesting that he's being nominated for a Golden Gnome, where other similar channels were like kind of hated on, but maybe he's getting permission, whereas the other channel never did.
I think it's been a rather like, not to take anything away from these guys, but obviously it's been a down year since Settled like exploded last year on the scene. Like nothing would have like matched up to that hype necessarily, but a couple of good like content creators. Again, I'm not too much into like the YouTube or streaming community, but there was going to be like a natural easing after all the craze around Settled. But that again does not take away from these channels specifically.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm sure honestly haven't had a chance to actually check them out, but I'm sure they're great. So if you're looking for new stuff to watch, definitely give those guys a glance. I think Nine Rain was in that rap video for Leagues. Did you see that?
I did not. No, that sounds interesting, but I have not seen it.
You haven't seen it? They use it to promote the shit out of Leagues too. It's with Jimmy.
Jimmy's good at rapping though. I will say Jimmy is really good at recording his own music.
You know what? It was like a mixture of like, wow, this is like super cringy of these, two guys rapping about OSRS, but it was also like, this is like, it's a mixture of like kind of cringy, but also very well done. I was like watching it. I was like, I can't tell if this is amazing or not. Like, I was like, I don't know what to feel, but this is the production and some of the what do they call it? The bars. Some of the bars they were spitting hot fire.
Yeah.
But then again, it was rapping about RuneScape. So if like I'm blasting this in the car and then I roll up to like I don't know a rap concert, people might not think it's as cool. Anywho, moving on so that was the best new old school RuneScape video creator. Next is the best old school RuneScape video creator. So this is just best creator in general. You have C Engineer, Jimmy, Lynx, Ocarina, and Rarg, and Soup RS. So a lot of these are pretty familiar names to people who watch content creators of old school RuneScape. C Engineer is definitely one of my personal favorites, but they're all very good and talented at what they do. Moving next is the best old school RuneScape video. So this isn't about, the last one was about creators in general. This one's about one specific video. So you have Eevescape with the $5,000 OSRS Battle Royale featuring Bodhi, Torvesta, Frame, C Engineer, and more. Those are all streamers. Next was by Goody, who is an ex JMod, and his video OSRS Tactical Nuke Episode 1 and 2. Soup with the Gillinor Games. Ohm Schooled featuring Frame, C Engineer, Solo Mission, Jimmy, and more. And finally, Exact and Rendy with their 3 combat fire cape. I haven't seen any of these videos, but definitely worth checking out if you're looking for something to watch. I'll probably tune in, check some of those out actually, because I'm kind of I gotta find some more RuneScape creators to find when I'm grinding out some of these brutal grinds.
Yep, that bingo event getting to you.
I'm burning out already. It's been a day and a half. No, it's I don't know what it is, but since I have a huge catalog of just like shows and movies to watch, but whenever I'm playing on my computer, I always am looking on YouTube for something to watch.
Yeah.
And it's
I think
usually
it's like YouTube is more like bite-sized. You don't have to commit as much to like a 5-minute video as you do like a 25 or 30-minute episode. Even if it's like even something lighthearted like Nathan For You, even it's like 25 minutes maybe.
Yeah, like 20 minutes. And also I think like you need to focus the whole time. Whereas like some of this content, if I'm focusing on RuneScape and I stop paying attention to the YouTube video, chances are I don't have to rewind. I'm not missing a whole bunch. That's going to be like context for later on in the video. Like maybe a little bit, but normally you're okay. Next is Best New Old School RuneScape Streamer. These are Fat Clouds, Poisoned Potion, Soulja Boy. That's right. The one and only Soulja Boy, not some nickname for a streamer, the actual Soulja Boy, and Sync. So those are all the 4. That's so funny that Soulja Boy's. Have you seen his live streams?
I have actually. Yeah, they're really funny. That's the one where like actually was told about, and like even like friends of mine who don't play OSRS are like, whoa, Soulja Boy's like streaming this game.
He's like going
I will say there's like some racism that you see sometimes, which is absolutely bullshit that he has to deal with that, but other than that, it is really, really fun. He's great to watch, especially like if you know OSRS and you play OSRS versus someone who's like a fan of Soulja Boy. Watching him play this random point and click game, like our perspective of things is way more fun, where you just like watching him do random stuff. I can't remember what he did over the summer, but it actually cracked me up. He was like I can't remember. I'll have to like go find the clip and I'll probably share it in Discord or something.
Yeah,
but there are some genuine moments of comedy from his stream that I love.
And I think what made it genuinely enjoyable is one, it's Soulja Boy. So when I was like, I don't even 14 years old, when Crank was it just Crank That, or is it Crank That Soulja Boy? I don't remember. Whatever the song is. Okay, maybe that's it. That song, everyone knows that song.
Soulja Boy, yeah.
If someone had told me when that song was big that Soulja Boy is going to be playing a ton of RuneScape live, like I'd be like, oh, what the fuck are you talking about? But like, so that's hilarious in itself that he's like ripping RuneScape, and it's fun watching somebody explore the game for the first time. Like he didn't know what he was doing, but he was trying to quest, and it was that's another problem when it comes to like anyone who's popular not in RuneScape mainly, is that like if they do try to play the game, they're going to get like just hounded by all these people following them. And it's like, it's great that they're going to get all the support, but it's also hard for that new person to enjoy the game when you have like 100 people following you and spamming your screen up.
Yeah.
But anywho, moving on to the best old school RuneScape streamer overall, it's MMORPG. It's Will, Odablock, and the Sick Nerd. I'm curious how they come up with like who the best streamer is. They used to have it so you had to vote, but then they decided that wouldn't be authentic. But there's a lot of massive names that for some reason don't make the list. Maybe it's because I don't know. I know that like Bodhi, Wooks, like they're huge name streamers, but anyways, for me, it's like someone who doesn't watch streaming a lot. It's interesting to see names that I'm not as familiar with.
Yeah. It's also a good collection of like different content creators. Like Sick Nerd does a lot of like hardcore Iron Man stuff, or that's what he's known for at least. Odablock is, very much PvP based. MMORPG, again, like Iron Man stuff from what I remember. And so it's like, clearly they've gone for a diverse mix, whereas I'm pretty sure a couple years ago it was mostly just like Iron Man streamers. Like it was Bodhi, Foe, Sick Nerd, Cold One, people like that.
Yep, yeah, that makes sense. So moving along, we got the best new old school RuneScape artist. We have Artistic Imp, Crumb OSRS, Etsy OSRS, and Nancy OSRS. I'm seeing a little theme going on there. So very cool stuff there. And then let's get through these last 2 categories. I lied. Last 3 categories. Next, we got best old school RuneScape artist in general. We have 25 buttholes. Okay. I didn't even know he made art. That was just YouTube videos. Got Seventh Sleeper, Lil Smokey, and Zahar. So there's some very cool and creative people there. Finally, we have best old school RuneScape artistic creation. So this is similar to the best old school RuneScape video, but with art. So the first one is Seventh Sleeper, and it's the old school RuneScape and Pokemon collaborated artwork. So it's really cool. You have Gyarados mixed with Zalra. You got holy shit, I can't remember any of these Pokemon. I'm going to skip what's that Buzz dude? I can't, wow. Anyways, you got Charizard mixed with Vorkath. You got Charmander mixed with Armadillo.
I really enjoy Seventh Sleeper. He would have been like my pick.
Yeah.
He does all the pop culture ones. I don't think it's just limited to Pokemon, unless I'm mistaking him for someone else.
No, I've seen, it's always like some sort of, might be like Sonic the Hedgehog mixed with something else, or it might be like the
SpongeBob.
Fallout Vault Board. Yeah, SpongeBob would be another one. You know what I mean? He does like these RuneScape mixed with something from your childhood, usually.
Yeah.
Next, we have Bagel Child with the Mod Ash Bagel. I don't know, man. This one looks like it's gonna win for me. Some dude ripped a bagel into 100 pieces and then created Mod Ash's face. It looks pretty good. Using ham for the mouth. Have you seen this?
No, I'm gonna try and pull it up right now. Actually,
yeah, pull it up. It's amazing. I'm gonna move on to the next one while you're pulling that one up. It's Craft 478 with this Great Olm automaton. Wow, what is this? Is this like a movable Olm? I think it is. I think it's a robotic Olm. That's really cool.
I can see that.
And then Lil Smoke with his Avatar intro, but it's RuneScape. So Avatar, I'd never watched that show, but people love it. But it's RuneScape.
Oh, the bagel one just opened up for you.
See that? Isn't it amazing?
That's pretty good. What is that? Is that chocolate or licorice?
It looks like chocolate.
I think it's licorice.
I recommend anyone looking up Bagel Ash if they haven't seen it. That's hilarious. Okay, finally, the best music creation. We got Beats by Tickle and Ian Fire. So Raps of Gillinor. Is this rap music?
See this pretty little girl looking desperately. What you need, you gotta pay a fee. I give her 30 GP to go overseas. Just you and me, now I'm all she see. This loving Karamja. She on my banana, I'm flattered. I'll treat you to dinner. I'll cook you some lobster. I'm off in the player. I'm not like these bottles.
Then you got Jimmy with Sandy Confession.
Pay off, but now a dead guy gonna get me laid off. Water won't work, can't pay my bill. Plus this whole damn town gonna think I killed. Shut up, Bert, just let me do the quest. Hand belongs to Clarence, I'ma put this to rest. Went to Brimhaven, had a talk with Sandy, that's Bert's boss.
People love rapping over and about RuneScape stuff. Levi Niha, which is making music, but every sound is RuneScape. Oh, that's cool. Makes like, I'm gonna be playing it, but making music using only sounds from RuneScape. That's great. And then OSRS Beats, Song of the Elves, Trap Remix. What's up?
Yes. Finally, I am so glad that OSRS Beats is getting the recognition that they deserve. I love this channel. Their music, I don't know if it's a he or she, but their music is really, really good. My favorite, OSRS song ever to have been remixed by him is Coil.
Oh, that's a great track.
The Zalra theme song, the way he does it is really good. I think it's a he. At least his profile picture looks like a he, but yeah, really, really, really cool. I haven't listened to the Song of the Elves one, but I'll probably pull that up.
It sounds great, and Song of the Elves is definitely one of my favorite tracks, and it's a new track too, so that's really cool to see. So we'll let you know who wins when we get to that section at some point. It's not going to be next episode, so that's cool. And finally, we'll speed run this because this isn't a huge amount of updates, but we're committed, aren't we? So finally, September 23rd, Hailed Sepulchre, they reduced the price of the Acorn to recolor your squirrel pet from 5,000 down to 3,000. If you did spend 5,000 on it, it is now instead you can now get a refund of 2,000 haloed marks back, which is a lot. Very cool stuff there. They also introduced a burlap sack they introduced the hollowed sack, which for 100 marks you can get rewards of about 100,000 GP in value. Nice. And lastly, you can trade your spirit tree seeds to the farming guild, and you can get tier 5 seed packs in return. So people with a huge collection of spirit tree seeds can now have something to dump them into.
Yeah, this was massive for me because I kept collecting them because they've been talking about it for like 2 years now that they're going to do something with excess spirit seeds. Because once you have like 5 or 6, I think, or however many you need, once you get 99 farming, you can plant a spirit tree in every patch. And so once you finish planting one in every patch, you basically have spare that you get from Zelra or whatever. So really good, really grateful for that update. Gave me like, it wasn't so much like the money, like it's a couple 100K, but it's just the fact that I don't have to deal with them anymore.
Yeah, you don't want to drop them. They're untradeable, right? So you're like, well, may as well keep them in case I need it for something. And with that being said, shall we move on to the outro of this episode? What do you think?
Let's do it up.
Let's do it. Okay, so quick housekeeping. Thank you to all of our Patreon supporters. You guys are amazing, and you help the show continue every single month as it has been. You've been very helpful, and I appreciate you guys a bunch. So thank you. But if you want to hang out with us in game, you can do that by joining our clan chat, which is WildCC. Lots of great people there. We reference it quite a bit. It's only because they have become such an integral part of my enjoyment with the game, and as well as many others. RuneScape's a very social game, so if you're not in a clan chat, I'd recommend joining one. And if you can't find one, WildCC is there waiting for you. Is that a good recruitment message? I thought that was pretty good.
I guess, you're like kind of drawing people to other clans, but we're not really a clan, so it's fine.
Well, that's what you gotta do, and then they're like, wow, these guys are like, they're so chill. Like, if I need to join another clan, they don't even care. Whereas other clans might be like, if we ever catch you in another clan chat, you're dead, buddy, you know?
Yeah.
Some clans have an interview process. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I got to come in with a cover letter, resume. That's hitting a little bit too real for me right now, but yeah.
Yes,
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Got to have like references from your last 3 clans and stuff like that.
So it says here your total level is under 2,000. We check your high scores and it's just hit 2,000. Can we see what's going on there?
I'm going to have to take this to HR.
Yeah. Oh boy. Anywho, if you are in a clan chat, you can still hang out with us in Discord. You can find that on Twitter at @TheWildernessRS. That's probably the best place to find it. You'll find a link at the top, or you can check the show notes as requested by Magpies. Was that you who mentioned that? It would be a good idea to include the Discord link into the show notes.
No, but I'm going to take credit for it.
You can take credit. No one else is here to argue against it. Anyways, great suggestion. So the link is now in the show notes. Or you can also email the show at thewildernesspodcast@gmail.com, and we will talk about all your fun, good stuff. Once we get caught up, and we are almost there. We are 1 or 2 episodes away from being back to our weekly recaps. Weekly or bi-weekly. All right, Magpies, anything you want to drop before we get on out of here?
Nope. Catch me in game. My private's always online, as always. Happy New Year's, Merry Christmas to everybody if you celebrate Christmas. Happy Hanukkah if you celebrate Hanukkah. And hopefully 2021 is going to be way better than this crapshoot of a year. So see you on the other side. By the time you listen to this, it will be 2021. So hopefully we're not all dead.
Yeah, you're right. Oh my God, that's tonight.
Yep.
Here we go. Into the new year we go. Thanks, guys, for listening. Our song of the week. You know what?
We should
I
play
hope
one of
they don't.
the golden.
I was just thinking that. I hope they don't mind. Let's play one of the trap remixes by OSRS Beats. By the way, does a lot more than just RuneScape music, apparently. Yeah, so here's Song of the Elves, OSRS Beats on YouTube. Check them out. They got some pretty dirt nasty tracks.
Hell yeah.
I'm waiting for that dubstep remix. I'm telling you, dubstep's coming back. They'll be back one day. And so will we. Goodbye, everyone.